If I can, but I will try.
I've got a folder to the school board share drive.
Does he use the same memo for like
I just
most districts?
share.
No, I'm sure we'll
Just
talk
add
about
me
it.
to it.
You think?
All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to the
And
Wednesday,
I
October
don't think I just
15th,
did it,
2025 Litchfield School Board meeting. It is now 5:32. We're going to call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving into our agenda this evening, we have review and revision of agenda items. Any changes to tonight's agenda? Hearing and seeing none. Going into consent agenda. Anything off consent this evening?
No.
Hearing and seeing none. We have summary of non-public actions from September 17th, 2025. The non-public minutes from September 17th, 2025 were tabled as the board cannot vote on them during the meeting. Mr. Shoemaker, motion to nominate Juliana Russo, long-term sub, science teacher at CHS, up to 1 year. Permission to employ, pending SOE. Ms. Ames seconded that motion. That motion passed 3-0. Mr. Shoemaker motioned to adjourn the non-public session at 8:22 p.m. Ms. Ames seconded that motion. That motion passed 3-0. Tonight we have presentations and recognitions, and we'll move over into GMS, school-wide reading. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
I'm actually just going to turn it over and introduce Mrs. Hayes and Mrs. Perkins, who came up this summer with the student support team with an idea, and I'm just going to let them introduce about a school-wide read that they're going to talk to you about.
Great. Thank you.
I'm Jen Perkins.
Jen Hayes.
Jen Hayes. Thanks for having us. So we're here today to talk to you guys about our community read. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what a community read is, but it's a shared reading experience where all of the students in the school will read the same story. And typically in a community read, the story is based on some character ed. So like maybe about empathy. In our case this year, it's focusing on community. So the Student Support Committee met this summer and discussed a variety of books that we wanted to focus on. And we landed on The Circles All Around Us, which Jen is going to explain to you more in detail about that book. So for a community read, all of the teachers receive the story after one of our first assemblies. And they read the story to their students. So not only is it, sharing the love of reading, but the message in the story too. And the message in this story is particularly about community and building that community, how you start off with one and you build that community out. So not only does it model the love of reading, but it also strengthens the collaboration in the school. So not just within the classroom, but so for instance, we have several of our classrooms, they have buddy classrooms. So a kindergarten classroom might be paired up with a fourth grade classroom, and they all have read that same story. So they can talk about the same story, they can do an activity about that story too, and collaborate and maybe, doing a certain project and having that common language.
Great. And so, like Jen said, we did work as a student support committee this summer to really come up with some activities that we could sprinkle throughout the whole year to keep it front of mind for our students and our staff. So we did start out with just reading the book and having some discussion questions that we gave to classroom teachers. We are going to be next week, actually at our October meeting assembly, we're going to be doing a whole school drone picture where the kids are going to be creating the circles like here on our front. Each grade is going to be a different band, and we're going to be taking an aerial drone picture of that that we can put out in our school and on our website to remind kids about those different communities that we have within our school. We're going to be doing a bulletin board activity in January. We can pass that out, where you're talking about different ways you can care for people in your different circles. in your different circles, whether it be friends, family, schoolmates, larger community. And then at the end of the year, we're going to be doing a reflection activity with the students where they're kind of looking back at ways that different people in their community have supported them throughout the school year. And I'll pass out a copy of the book.
So it's something that it goes throughout the entire school year. We introduce it at the beginning and then sprinkle it in throughout the school year as well.
Right. And last week we had our kindness week. We did have our theme tie in with our community read. We had our theme for this year's kindness week was Ripples of Kindness. So we were trying to also bring the book into that piece. And then we also have Friday announcements that we either say a quote from the book or we somehow tie in some sort of aspect of the book during our Friday morning announcements as well. So we really can just keep it going as our overarching theme for the whole school year.
It's nice for us, so when we visit all the classes too, we're often talking about community, and it's nice to hear some of the classrooms who, they've read the story and they're able to talk about it within our classroom lessons. And the teachers, they seem to be really excited about it. One example to our art teacher.
Yeah.
Our art teacher did a community
Mural.
Yeah, community mural from kindergarten to 4th grade. So down our front hallway is the whole entire mural, and she had talked about community within our building while she was teaching the lesson. So it ties in nicely to the UAs, bringing it into PE and music and art.
Any questions?
As you started to introduce this to the students, have you started to hear some interesting ideas how they are thinking about circles?
Not specifically circles, but definitely kids mentioning the book, talking about, different aspects like, this person's in my friend's circle, this person's in my school circle. So I think that's helpful. Language that kids are starting to share amongst each other. So I think
So they were not
really nice.
resonating with helping with chores?
No, I know. I was planting that one.
Okay, all right.
You can bring that in at home.
I think it's a good book to tie in at the beginning of the year as well, because when when the teacher is meeting the students and talking about how we are a classroom community, but then on a broader scale, we're a school community as well, and a community as Litchfield too. So I've heard a lot of students talk about their classroom community and what that means to be part of a classroom community member. So
It's a great idea. Yeah, this is great. Any questions?
It's awesome.
That looks good.
No, I was just noticing that we have 4 Jens in the room right now.
I'm drowning in jazz.
There's so many Jens.
So many.
Sorry, I just was like, Jen said, and then I'm like, not that one, not that one, not that one. Yeah, okay, got it.
Our group chat is called Too Many Jets.
We can have a circle of Jens. There you
Yes,
go.
exactly. We make our own community.
We'll need good weather next week for the drone picture too.
Yes.
Thank you for presenting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, shifting gears into the student representative report. Welcome.
Thanks.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
How'd the
Week at Campbell?
PSATs
Yeah,
go?
you have PSATs today?
I'm a senior, so I didn't go in.
Oh,
even
okay, that's
better.
right.
I know, right? I had the day off. It's really nice. But the freshmen, sophomore, juniors, they went in for PSATs today. I heard they went pretty well. Everyone was really going into it. They were kind of nervous, but I heard most kids were prepared.
Good.
Yep.
Excellent. You want
Yes, this is your first one, so
take
I
us
have
through
it
it?
up here.
Oh, it's up there.
Yeah, it's up here.
I didn't even see that. All right.
You can
You
do
can
it from
stay
your
seated.
seat.
You don't
can
have
stay,
to-
You can
It's
stand
up
if
to
you
you,
want.
wherever you want to go.
All right.
Yeah, so this is the Campbell Fall Athletics, basically. So this is girls soccer, boys soccer, golf team, football. I think that's all of them. Yeah. Oh, and volleyball. So girls soccer is doing pretty well this season. They're 10-1 right now. The next game is October 15th, so they're pumped for that one. Boys soccer, they're staying along on par with the girls team. They're 10-1-3. The next game is the 17th versus Plymouth, so that should be a really good game to watch. The football, they're doing really well this season. They have a winning record of 5-1. Next game is the 18th versus Laconia. That's gonna be a challenge for them, but they can definitely pull through. The golf team is doing really well. They're coming to the end of their season. They are 14-10, which is pretty good. I mean, they're putting up their, I believe it's top 3 golfers for states to compete. Girls volleyball is 7-6, still winning record. The next game is the 16th for Souhegan. That's also going to be a really good one. Souhegan has a really good girls volleyball team, and cross country had a meet at home today. So this is the past events of this year. I know we just started, but we have still a bunch of events to go through. We have freshman orientation at the beginning of the year to get the freshmen inclined to the school, and really it's a big step for them. Homecoming was a really great dance. You know, we had a lot of attendance there. It was really played out well for the Stuco. The club fair is basically you can go down. They have all the clubs open. All clubs leaders have their own table, and you can sign up for whatever clubs you want and get on the email list for them. Open house is basically parents and students, if they really want to, can come in. Basically they go through the classes, see what the classes are. Picture day is maybe me. I'm a senior, so I get my pictures done. But picture day is basically you get a picture for the student yearbook. And Spirit Week, everybody loves Spirit Week. We had great events for Spirit Week this year. And here are some pictures from all of those events. This one was all student council from HOCO. I was really interested. So these are the current events going on at Campbell. So this is this month, and at the very end, this goes into November. Today, obviously, the PSATs, which they went really well, really smoothly today. FBLA Fall Leadership Workshop at UNH. So, you know, anybody who really wants to work on their leadership skills, I know I do, could go to UNH. Here's the guest speakers and work on your leadership skills. Tri-M induction ceremony. Student Council Halloween movie night. That's going on. I believe they're playing the Sanderson Sisters.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. 25th. I'm definitely going to be going to that. I love that movie. Cal Powder Puff event, which is basically girls flag football. I believe that's going on at halftime of one of the games. That should be really good. I know they sent out a form for that. I might be coaching. I don't know. Apply New Hampshire Day. All the New Hampshire schools that will come to Campbell. You can go down to apply for free at any of the schools in New Hampshire that obviously come to Campbell. So that should be really good for people who are really adamant about getting their application out and seeing where they get accepted. Quarter 1 closes the 31st, so grades are going to close. All grades are going to be in, which will be really good because, you're caught up on all grades. There's no, grades that you're waiting on getting graded, so you're like, oh my gosh, where's my grade going to be? That's, the 31st. That's your grade. That's where you are. Senior trick-or-treat, also on the 31st, so Halloween is definitely a big day for Campbell. The kids will go around, they'll trick-or-treat, seniors give out candy, fun stuff like that. Cal Turkey Trot. This is for student-athlete mental health awareness, also for Thanksgiving. I participated in that last year. I was actually the winner of it last year, which was awesome. Sadly, I can't run this year because I'm injured, but I might walk it. But it's really good. Super fun event, and we're going to try to increase attendance this year.
Awesome.
Campbell, this is the future events of Campbell, so upcoming events. We have a Make a Difference food drive. You'll see later in the presentation we're going to be cooperating with the other schools to make a difference, to really give food to the needy. Student Council Waterville Conference. I know I'm participating in that. I heard it was really fun. I wasn't here last year, but I heard it was really fun. I really can't wait to go up there and stay over. The Art National Honor Society. So I'm not going to keep reiterating myself. These are all National Honor Societies for kids who are really excelling in those courses. They have a chance to excel further and boost their resumes or college apps, things like that. And obviously National Honor Society induction. So this is the Litchfield Middle School. We got this information. So this is not firsthand, but the Student Council C3PO is currently sponsoring and organizing a penny war. So basically, the kids are going to bring in pennies. That's how they're going to gain points. But if they bring in, silver coins or dollars, that's how they're going to sabotage the other grades. So they're trying to raise awareness for cancer research. They started this at the beginning of October. Next month, they're also going to be participating in the food drive with Campbell, and I believe GMS will be participating with us. in March they're going to be participating in the Winnie Dip, which is a polar plunge basically for middle school, which is going to be really fun. I mean, I've done polar plunges in the past. It's great. You're out there. Yeah, you're freezing, but you know, everybody else is freezing, so it's really fun.
Yeah, no.
Andrew's cold in here right now.
RMS is also organizing Red Ribbon Week, which is basically an awareness for cancer, I believe. And there's Spirit Weeks going on, which is, Spirit Weeks are great. You know, it's a huge morale boost within the school, and it's all around just fun. They're also doing kindness-based activities like candygrams or complimenting each other. Griffin Memorial School. So this is GMS. We just got the email in. Last week, GMS took part in the Great Kindness Challenge, which is, you know, they're trying to build kids being kind, basically, is what it sounds like. They also have daily themes like Pajama Day, so they're kind of having their own Spirit Week. Challenges. Oh yeah, here are the challenges. They're giving compliments, doing good deeds, and helping each other out. So basically, they're just trying to make good kids all around. This Friday, the kindergartners are going on a field trip to McQuestion Farm. I remember that field trip. It was a lot of fun. I got to run around with my friends out there. It was super fun. The next Friday is a PTO Pumpkin Fest at 6 p.m. And this is the 43rd annual Scarecrow Jamboree. It's being held on October 31st. That was so much fun. I remember I participated twice. I made a scarecrow snowman.
Nice.
That was a lot of fun. I think that's it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job, yeah.
You left all by yourself. You did it all. You handled it solo.
Yeah, that's it. It was easy.
Excellent. Any questions about the happenings in our schools?
I didn't know about the Apply New Hampshire thing. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, right? I didn't know about that either. So is it all schools in New Hampshire?
I think UNH doesn't
Yeah, it's not UNH,
participate,
but
but
it's
SNU
Plymouth,
does, NHTI, Riviera, Lake, Keene, Plymouth, everyone like that. Does UNH participate in Apply New Hampshire? I don't think they do. They do now?
They do.
Oh, they do now.
I think it's all the whole university system in New Hampshire.
Yep.
So it should be a really good time. I've been blasting it. Kids know about it, and then the others, so that's coming up.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. They really want kids to stay, in state for school and stuff like that. So it's a good opportunity for kids to apply, even if they're like not sure, like just getting in there because it's free.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful opportunity for kids to get out there.
We've had a lot of opportunities recently within Campbell. We've had a lot of schools visit. I
Yeah.
haven't personally gone down there. I'm going to school in Connecticut, but we have a lot of opportunity to apply to colleges.
Yeah, it's the college visits, right? Like they're
Yeah.
coming in through the counseling office and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You're already locked in for next year?
I'm going to University of St. Joseph's for lacrosse.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
All right, moving back into our agenda, we have our first of two community comments on agenda items this evening. And we're going to close community comment. There's another round a little bit later. We'll move over to correspondence.
Yes, on October 2nd, the superintendent emailed the board advising that school care was willing to do a Zoom with board members to answer questions, and there was some coordination regarding which board members would attend to avoid quorum, and there were responses from all 5 board members. On October 6th, Jan Sullivan emailed the board circulating the draft public and non-public minutes from our October 1st meeting. On October 6th, Lauren Crowley emailed the board advising of the Made with School Lunch campaign and social media presence. On October 8th, Ann Inamorati emailed the board circulating the 403B payroll manifest. On October 8th, Ann Inamorati emailed the board circulating the credit card manifest. On October 9th, Ann Inamorati emailed the board circulating the accounts payable manifest, which included 2, one for live checks and one for direct payments. On October 10th, Andrew Cutter emailed the board advising of a recent budget committee question that arose related to potentially moving the SRO position to the school budget to help with the town's tax cap issues. There's no set position on it, but it was up for discussion. On October 10th, Renee Burgess emailed the board circulating the draft October, it was actually the October 1st agenda, but October 15th agenda. And then on October 15th, the superintendent emailed the board circulating a recent memo from our legal counsel regarding the school care situation. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. A light week for
It
correspondence. Couple of
was,
weeks.
I know, don't jinx it. I mean, on the other hand, I want to hear from people, but yes.
We'll turn it over to the superintendent for an update tonight.
Yep. So first we have the enrollment. Nothing's changed since October 1st. It's literally exactly the same, so you'll study.
Okay.
There's enrollment. All right, school care. So the first link is the same Q&A that we had from last meeting. I just left it there for a point of reference. To kind of just summarize, I know Matt and Andrew, you were there on the meeting that we had with school care about a week ago, where, you know, we asked them some additional questions, but same information that, you know, they've had the districts, about 90 districts in the state, have this assessment they got to pay, timeline, talked about their holidays they've done in the past. They went through their timeline of when they came to discover the issues. You know, we asked questions just about all of it, the process, the when to alert us, expressed some frustrations on the challenges of telling us, you know, in September when we're into a fiscal year, the projection model that they use to kind of get to the information that they had. Yeah, all of that. So the issue's not going away, so we wanted to come tonight to talk about ways we can address the payment related to school care. So the link there takes you to some options that utilizes this year's funds, but what I don't have on that sheet, because that just focuses on this year's, is we still have the ability, the state, the DOE has allowed school districts to access their underspend from the previous fiscal year, because the assessment is technically related to the previous fiscal year. So that remains an option for us. Like if we wanted to access some or all of our underspend from the previous fiscal year, there's processes to do that. We can set it aside as an encumbrance, or we can put it off as a special purposes pull out from it. That allows us to take whatever amount we want to address towards school care. It's essentially the same thing. It's just a matter of we have limitations on how much we can carry over for future encumbrances. So that's why you can use this special purpose account for this, and this, because this is the definition of a special purpose, is addressing this type of late bill that comes along with it. So that remains an option. We have money available in our underspend. We have the intention to return money back to the taxpayers. That was the intent that we talked about way back in June when we were wrapping up the previous year.
What was
stuff
the
like
number
that
that we were at?
We were estimating at about 900,000, between 800,000 and 900,000. Our auditors are finishing up the payment. I guess the good news is we generated a little more revenue than we thought, so we may actually have a little additional money on top of that as well, which is helpful in this exact situation right now. Our special ed reimbursements came in higher than what we had budgeted for, which is a good thing. Ultimately, that's the main culprit of the additional funds that we kind of accessed. Julie's been working with the auditors to finish that up and going through that whole process. But, you know, the numbers are pretty set at this point. It's just more finishing things off and then going in through the process. If we elect to do any of that, we need to make probably a decision related to those funds tonight, because we have submitted our DOE 25 with the state. It's been approved. We do have the capability to update that due to this situation. The state has allowed that for any districts that are going to do that. But time of is the essence, because then we would need to adjust that report, which slows down the tax rate getting out for the town and everything like that. So that's why that's probably a decision we need to make tonight. So we have all of that funds kind of to look at as that. The link I have for you there with the school care payment is options related to utilizing this year's FY26 funds. So before I go into that, do you have any questions? Yeah.
I mean,
Or comments or
I
anything?
suppose it's worth hearing this, but like my opinion is, you know, I guess first and foremost, like we have a memo from our attorney saying that you have to figure out how to pay it. Like that's, I guess, like we might as well just like get that out in the open before we have any further discussion on that. I know we were hoping that there was potentially a way to stick it to school care and say, great job not figuring out what you should have been keeping in reserves. That doesn't sound like that's the case, so we do have to pay it. I think, given the number that we're returning to taxpayers is far above what we are budgeting for, and thus has a huge impact on causing fluctuations in the tax rate, I think that it, to me, is a no-brainer to just encumber those funds for this and move on from this, understanding that we are, like, I think like most other districts, taking a deep dive into health insurance to figure out what's, the right path forward.
Other thoughts?
I guess I agree with you, Matt, but I'm also wondering, is there something I'm missing? Like, what would be the reasons not to do it that way? Because to me, we're in a default budget. We already are going to have, I think, a tighter year than we had hoped for. And so I don't know that trying to stretch the 26 budget to pay even some portion of $432,000 makes sense when there is more than that an underspend from last year that we are legally allowed to access. But I'm trying to understand, what's the downside? What am I not thinking of?
I mean, I don't know if it's a downside. So this is just my opinion on this. I think bottom line is taxpayers are we have to pay for this, and taxpayers have to pay for it somehow, right? Like, and it's a matter of like when you pay for it is essentially what it comes down to, right? Like, we've raised the money. Like, I think some people may think if you just utilize your current funds, it's not going to hit the taxpayers. But as we'll go through here, like, that means like cutting back on other things that we would then have
It
to.
directly
spend
hurts
on.
the entire district.
Correct. And then like it hurts our reserve funds and it
Absolutely.
hurts other things like that. Is it possible? Yeah, and we'll walk through what that wants, because I want people to understand, you as a board and then people in the community, to understand like the real gymnastics there is to take care of this and stuff like that. A lot of districts that have the available funds and underspend are accessing their underspends. You know, our neighbors are doing that, right? Like, we have neighbors that are affected by this. I don't want to speak out of turn, so I won't name any specifics, but like, that's what they're doing. They're utilizing their underspends if they have it. Now, not every district is in a situation where they can cover. We're fortunate, I guess, that ours is only $432,000, where there are other districts that have millions of dollars, you know, so they may not have the same capability as we do at the exact moment, you know. So they are trying to get creative in their approaches on how to address it. But I guess the downside is, you know, we said at one point, now none of us knew this was coming, right? So like, I want to say that over and over again, none of us knew this was coming. We said we were returning us about an amount of money in June, and we're obviously going to return now a different amount if we take and cover all that. But the trade-off is that it allows us in this year, like in a tight budget, because we are under a default budget, and to have that like ability to pivot a little bit here and there in this default budget, where like we're jeopardizing where we're going to be in June if we may be okay, like that would ultimately be the goal, right? But like, we could have a bigger issue on our hands in June if we're short money, right? Like, and that is the risk you take if not addressing kind of the underspend and stuff like that. Now, I think if we were in a situation that we were to just focus on this year's funds, again, I'll walk you through it. We could try and figure it out. It's not going to be pretty, right? And you're going to cross your fingers on some things and hope everything goes perfectly as planned, you know, but that's a big if in a school district in a school year, that everything's going to go perfectly as planned, you know. So, you know, all of the funds using the underspend, I think would be a wise choice for us.
It just doesn't even make sense to me, right? Like, the taxpayers, you know, funded our budget last year, right? We already know that budget is done, right? Like, we finished that. We already know what that looks like. We don't know what 26 looks like, right? Either way, the taxpayers have funded both. Like, it's taxpayer money regardless, right? It's not coming from any other place other than taxpayer money. So, to me, it seems crazy to take money from a budget that we are not very far through.
Right.
When we have
And-
one that
and-
we
and
know
I think-
what the end result is.
And I think like ultimately how this is going to get paid for, regardless of whether you're utilizing FY25 funds or FY26 funds, or really you could push parts of it into FY27, but I would not do that. So let's not even talk about that. you're using underspent funds, right? Like what we'll walk through here momentarily
Right.
is banking on underspent funds directly tied to salary and benefits. So either you return the money now and pray you get through FY26, right? Or you take it from your underspend now with the idea that you could have the underspend in FY26, right? Because that underspend would, like if we had to take money out of the reserve fund, you need to underspend to put it back into the reserve fund, right? Like that, it has to come from underspend
Well,
at
and
some
again, the
point.
reserve fund was set up for retirement purposes. The reserve fund
Correct.
was not set up for this purpose. Now,
Right.
whether we have to have that conversation
We can't,
moving
yeah,
forward,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We have to have
Yes.
that conversation moving forward,
Yeah.
particularly if we're gonna stick with a self-funded insurance plan.
Yeah.
But that's,
So I do want to hear from Mr. DeWitt and Mr. Polinsky on this, just given the magnitude of this issue, but my question is do we have it in writing from the state that we can tap into these funds and we're legally allowed to do so?
We have from the state, from our auditors, and from our attorneys. We have from all three.
That is what
Right,
the
because the budget
majority
committee is
all-
going to ask.
Yep.
Per state statute, are we obligated to inform the budget committee and notify them of the, I mean, I'll do it anyways, right? But I want to make sure we're covering.
Formally.
I will check,
RSA state statute.
yeah, there is an
For
RSA.
special purposes, I know there is, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure, yeah, otherwise.
We'll double check.
I'm going to
that.
do it anyways,
Yeah.
right? But I want to make sure we're following state statutes on this.
There's an RSA for the special purposes. That's what we would follow for this. There's something in there about budget committee. I gotta go back and read it in closer detail. But there might be a formal notification process we have to do, so.
Yeah, okay.
So I
the
think it makes
references
the
in
most
one of the
logical
emails I
sense
sent
to
you
do
today.
this, to do it this way. If it's all above board, there will be some blowback because people are expecting 850 and it's gonna be, again, half of that. But we're either gonna take it from this hand or this hand.
Yeah.
And-
we know it's in this hand, we
Yeah.
don't know what's in
Right.
this hand.
Yeah,
And we could have extra from the end of this year that still could be returned.
Right.
It's just we're waiting to do so and seeing where we land at the end of this year.
right, to make sure we make it through this year without an emergency.
I think it would be irresponsible of us to spend money from this year's budget when we have it and it's legal for us to use it from the end of last year, planning purposes. You had talked about, when we went through the underspend, that there are some things, you hadn't given us a finite number on what it was because there were things coming in July.
Yep.
That bills, we ended up with extra revenue, we weren't sure what that was going to be, and well, this isn't quite a July expense, and again, it was a very large, unexpected issue. The good news is we are one of the districts that does have underspend to be able to cover it.
So what's the exact amount? 432,
374.
374? Okay, so you'll need a motion, right? I'll make a motion to approve $432,374 to pay school care on the manifest of December 17th,
I was just gonna say.
right? I'm not stupid. Right, and to use the funds from unassigned fund balance from fiscal year 25.
I'll second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr.
I
Shoemaker.
like how you slid that in there.
Yeah, you
That's
like
good,
that?
yeah.
Additional discussion?
I just want to make one point I think is important to make, based off of our conversation with school care. They're anticipating, so the opinion is that all the districts are liable for this money. They believe that every district is going to find the money to pay for this. However, if there are districts that do not pay for this, right, there is the potential, I think, I would assume there's the potential they could come back to the rest of the members, right, because this is all the members. The only other thing that I want to point out, because I found this deeply concerning and I don't want it to be, I would be remiss if I didn't point it out, is that they, for districts that do not pay, the first step that they will take is they will instruct Cigna not to pay claims. They will approve claims, so meaning people can go to their doctors, they will still get the care, they will still be able to get their prescriptions. However, in the background, Cigna will be instructed to not pay the providers. And what would ultimately happen is you, as the person who received care, would be responsible for that. So that's one of the reasons why we can't default on the bill. If enough districts did that, that could be the case across the board, and it doesn't sound like that will be the case. It sounds like most districts are going to find a way to pay. But I do just want to make it clear that there were some pretty dire circumstances that surrounded this, and so that kind of factors into how people.
It 100% factors into the decisions, right? And in conversations with the larger cities that are impacted, such as Concord and in Hudson, right, they're neighboring, I know they're also trying to figure out and navigate this. I know our neighboring town, Hudson, is using the special purposes method to fund this as well, and then Concord's navigating this in their own special way, given significant deficits that they have and 9 CBAs that they're working through as well. So.
That's my only comment.
And just for, we are pursuing our options, right? Like most school districts are at this point, doing our due diligence if this is the right insurance model for us as a district, right, for our employees. I mean, I'm not saying next year we're going to have a different insurance model where it's late to make those type of changes. We're deep into the budget process at this point. So it's just timing is not ideal for any of this, but like many other districts, we're not pleased with all of this. So we're going to look at our options and make sure we're doing the right by our people, and by, when I say people, our staff, our communities, everyone by that. So
was there any level of detail given to what they kept in reserve? How do we just learn this so late? If somebody's, who's watching the hen house?
Their answer to that was while they had transparency into this, they were continuously relying upon their auditors to prove their financials. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that was their answer, consistently. And so while they knew, they weren't willing to indicate to their members of this issue until their auditors proved their numbers.
I think from the timeline, to echo that, like as they were losing their reserves were getting emptied over last year, right? And this is a question that
There should be some trigger then when it gets to X dollars.
And
The other thing that happened, based off of my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, because you were listening to this as well. They were notified of an actual loss or an actual reduction in reserves, but then had to essentially double that for projected reserves, projected losses in reserves due to upcoming claims. So some of it was retroactive, some of it was proactive.
They will become if this isn't the action, they will become fully insolvent by April of next year. They will not have cash, period.
And so what they're doing right now is they're applying for a line of credit. That's why the option to pay later with interest, the interest is essentially them covering the interest of a line of credit.
And through their presentation, it's easy to say now on the other side that, they said they're learning from their mistakes when they're going to do notifications. Because again, as I personally have said many times, this is a completely different conversation if you're telling us this on April 1st versus, September 22nd, right? So there needs to be that check-in before fiscal years wrap up. Like, we were fortunate as a district to have the underspend last year, so if they had told us on April 1st, we've joked we would have looked like freaking geniuses. But like, to have that money ready and available for that reason. But like, that would have been a totally different conversation. Unpleasant as it would have been a totally different conversation, right? And
We could have made a decision where we were gonna go for this year,
You would figure, given that they're all
correct.
because they have us hostage now, we're stuck with
They
them
were
for at least
stuck.
another
But they're all
year.
made up of members of school districts, right? They're all school-related employees.
There should have been a
employers.
recognition.
They should know
There
this.
should have been a recognition.
Right?
Of telling us before the end of the fiscal year, right? So we could adjust. You tell us on April 1st, when we're starting to wind down, our funding for the year, like how we're gonna manage our funds for the year, we can take steps, even if we were in a tighter spot, like we could have taken steps to ensure that we had everything covered, right? So they need to do that. They said they're going to update, in the spring now and in the fall, when they do their projections and stuff like that. So that's a step in the right direction. Hopefully this is a blip, just so people know, Health Trust is the other one. They're not in any better shape. It's a concerning model, period, when it comes to insurance for us in the education world. So.
All right, let's move on.
We have to call the vote.
Yeah, that's right. So we had a motion and a second. Additional discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? That carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, solar, this is just a briefer update to follow up on our last meeting. So we had asked Dynamic Grid to meet with Litchfield Fire Department last week. They met last Thursday. I was not able to attend, but Julie was able to attend. They met to go over two things: the plan for the long-term battery, whatever it's called, storage unit, whatever the case may be, make sure it's fire safe and everything like that. And then one of the things we're pushing for, like if that's gonna take more time to get the permanent battery in place, can we get something more temporary in place? So came with plans that had the temporary.
Not with plans, but explained that there was basically an already existing battery. It's just a different, it's a different type of battery that's less stable, which we would have to get approved by the fire marshal. So Kay needs to check with the fire marshal, which is part of the plan.
So they're gonna now arrange to meet with the fire marshal, who's got more of an understanding of these lithium things and everything else related to it.
If she can even get it.
So at least we had that step taken care of. That was our first thing of like, you gotta get moving on this and stuff like that. So, our plan is once she meets with the fire marshal, us to have that drop dead date where this has happened. In the background, we're still working with our legal people, for when the appropriate time comes to take action in that direction, we can take that action, so.
So would this be a temporary battery while the new battery is
Yeah, we want,
invented?
look, yes,
It's
like they're
very
potentially, and it's iffy, but like, if there's something, as Diane, who was our attorney working with us on this one, was pushing, you've promised us storage. If there's something out there that can do this, put it in, because you're 2 years late on this storage, right? Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, it's gotta be safe, right? You can't put something in, whatever in there. But if there's gotta be storage systems out there. Solar's not like brand new, you know? So put something in temporarily so we can start getting the storage benefit of it all. And then while you work on building the long-term solution to it, like we're at least got that in place and stuff like that, so.
There's other things that she's working on as well, that, as directed by the fire department, that she needs to meet with the fire marshal regarding the clearance around this battery space. You know, Captain Kelly would like to have, you know, a certain amount of clearance with trees being removed and things like that, that Kay would be responsible for. So she needs to find out from the fire marshal and the building inspector what those requirements would be, so that those things are also in place prior to the storage installation.
And we haven't done any of that construction behind the building?
Correct.
Because there was a plan for a battery, the initial battery system that got changed, right?
There was.
It's been
yeah,
changed a
it
couple
was,
times at this point.
Best way I can put it was the original plan was like in a shipping container, like in one of those big metal shipping containers. You could think of it like that.
It's similar.
The original battery hadn't even been
Oh,
designed or
it's-
approved yet in Sweden, was my understanding. So there was an original proposal that was a prototype, next level, something that our fire marshal and our fire inspector said, we don't wanna do a prototype with a building full of 350 kids next door. And then the second model came in, and I believe that's the one that's on the shipping container. So now this would be the third sample. Sorry to
Well,
interrupt the audience.
Yeah, it's, I'll say the long-term solution as proposed in the memorandum is a, call it enterprise-sized energy storage solution. It's not a residential one scaled up, it is enterprise-sized technology. I would be interested to hear what the temporary chemistry and battery type is, just because whatever that storage is, how is it, I mean, heat and cold and everything affect those things, so if it's more volatile like that, that's a decent concern. Do we have drop dead dates of the long-term solution yet? I mean,
That's what we're working on. So we want this fire thing taken care of first,
right.
to make sure that what we're getting is safe. So we talked about this last meeting, that she had to meet with the fire people, and then we were giving her 2 weeks from that to give us a drop dead date. So once she meets with the fire marshal, I'm expecting a drop date dead in 2 weeks, and then that's what we're holding it to right then and
So
there.
that's next week.
She said that temporary.
She's gotta meet this fire marshal person. She hasn't met with the fire marshal. She met with our fire people, she's gotta meet with the fire marshal next, so.
Is there anyone that's like sort of the go-between on that, or are we relying on Kay to coordinate with our fire marshal?
Captain Kelly's helping us with that, yeah.
I guess it's a lithium iron phosphate battery that is the potential rental that she's looking into.
So it's a LiPo, okay?
All right, so between school care and solar, we're on a roll tonight.
Well, I one
Living the dream.
one question that I had on the solar. Is there a way to figure out or get from the grid array how much that array is generating in electricity on a weekly or monthly basis?
We can get that information. She gave us a packet. I think it was just like a couple of days worth of
I think we should
usage,
ask
which we
Eversource.
can get that.
Like, I
yeah.
don't trust.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Yes, it should be.
anything over is getting exported to the grid, so it would be
Yeah.
good to know how much is getting exported.
yeah, well, I mean, it's how much is getting to the grid or just how much that grid, how much that solar array is actually generating. I mean, you should be able to pull it directly off the equipment in the building. It should tell you what's being generated. Because I mean, I can start running loose numbers based upon the Eversource bills about per kilowatt. What are we missing in this power plan that we're kind of locked into until this whole solution gets figured out?
Okay.
All right, deliberative.
All right, so town's looking to pick their deliberative date, so probably wise that we get our date
Town
squared
has
away.
picked
They
their
has
Pick
picked
their
their
date,
date.
yep.
It is their pick to pick first, so they picked their date. So they picked February 7th at 10 a.m.
Yes.
Our window for deliberative is January 31st to February 7th. So we could just do January 31st if that's what the board wanted. We could do the afternoon on the 7th, whatever your pleasure is.
I recommend, or my thought, right, is to go with January 31st, right? Given that we have a backup and knowing that we're potentially gonna have a big ticket item, I think we should have that buffer this year.
Agreed.
Our legal people are free, so for either date at this point. So
Just sounds so early.
I know.
It does sound.
I know.
Just with the
It's the
January
first time in
front.
January,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
I don't believe we have any plays on that day, right, people? Either date, please.
It's all been cleared
Thank
out,
you.
right? Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right, so in the morning, 10 a.m.?
Perfect.
Sure. All right, we'll book it. And that's all I got.
We'll turn it over to Julie for an update tonight.
We have been continuing to really watch our spending and making sure that we're really only buying essential things until we have made the decision on school care. So, of course, we'll continue to be cautious about spending, but won't be in quite the tight spot that we were having made that decision. As Brian said, the DOE 25 has been approved. We'll, of course, make the adjustment accordingly. And have that resubmitted along with updating our DRA information.
Just on that, and the motion I made for December 17th, kind of being a wise guy, that doesn't impact, the payment of that doesn't impact the tax rate.
Well, the impact of that payment.
The impact of when it's paid doesn't impact us being able to
them
send
doing
it.
the
gonna check.
calculation.
We need to see
Yeah.
the legality
You may
is
not
of
call
how.
it. Julie leaned over with a little note, like, we gotta check the legality. We may have to spend it in a certain amount of time.
We need to make
once we
sure.
make
I
that
have a
decision,
feeling
so.
that there is
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
a specified amount of time, so we will certainly look into
So
all
we
of
may
that.
be back next meeting, say, can you adjust that to?
Well, actually, could we
Well, why don't we
update
just
that now?
adjust that
Because I
now?
was gonna say, I don't wanna really wait, I don't wanna
Okay.
further delay the tax rate setting, so, we should probably make that change. if
To the
you feel
latest
comfortable.
possible date. No, I just do it to the latest possible
right.
date.
I'll make a motion to remove my 1217 stipulation.
I'll second.
Motion second, additional discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0.
I agree with the sentiment.
100%.
But procedurally, just do it as late as human.
Yes, of course, of course. Of course, we are working through the FY '27 budget, still making lots of changes and doing what we can to, make sure that we're not overextending, the burden on the taxpayers, and looking at the big picture of, the potential warrant articles with regard to something with regard to the GMS building. So we are taking that into consideration as we build our budget. We also have a new IT director, which is wonderful. Brendan Collins has started, and we are very lucky to have him. He has great experience, including working at Litchfield. and having that historical knowledge, so that's been really helpful. He had to start building his budget on day one, so.
Welcome.
He's really, yes, he's doing wonderful, but we're, certainly working through that as well. And also navigating benefits options, so there's just a lot of moving pieces as we're kind of working through this, but we're on target.
On target to give the budget committee by when?
The 29th or
The
whatever that
29th
date
is
was.
the date,
Okay.
yes.
We're trying to just jump in there, be a little ahead of it. We're doing the default budget right now at the same time, so we'll have both kind of. We might have to wait just a little bit on the default because of some of the insurance rate stuff there, but like we'll have the outline of it and everything done. We're anticipating to have that done on the 29th as well, so we're ahead of it on that as well. We got year two, I just feel like we got a better handle on it all. So we have warrant article beyond, the project and stuff like that. We have some warrant article ideas as well to kind of go for, nothing crazy, but related to, the reserve funds and stuff like that to go over as well. So.
Okay.
And then as far as adequacy goes, adequacy funding is what we received through the state. I had mentioned last year around this time that just to remind everyone that there is a hold harmless grant that is being phased out. This is the first year, unfortunately, of that phase out. So we are receiving significantly less in adequacy, which.
It's like 200,000 a year or something.
Well, overall,
It's like 350.
it's 380,000 is just with regard to the hold harmless grant. And then in addition to that, we had quite a decrease in SWEPT, which is the funding that comes in through the state. I've linked a comparison that the DOE had sent out just so we can see the differences from FY25 to FY26 and the adequacy amount that we'll be receiving. The whole harmless grant is getting phased out every other year, so next year we'll go back up. We'll have additional funds, but then it's going to be decreasing by another 20% the following year, so until it's phased out after a 10-year period. So something for us to keep in mind, of course, revenues are something that we need to keep a close eye on and certainly look for other options, but I just want everyone to be reminded of that.
Now, if I can remind people, we talked about this through the budget process last year. We anticipated this, and when we did our projected budgeting last year, we did it with this anticipation. So it's not new information. We're not hitting less. It actually matched the projections from last year that the state gave us when we were doing the final adequacy numbers, matched the projections that we used last year through the budgeting process. So this is an important thing. This isn't new information for us, as Julie said. It was part of our budgeting process last year.
And one thing I just wanted to mention is, as a part of adequacy, a big part of that is free and reduced application data is used to potentially lower tax rates with regard to property tax, but also it affects school funding in a really big way. So just a reminder, and I have linked our free and reduced application. It's a completely confidential process. If any families feel that they may be able to benefit from that, we certainly encourage them to complete the application. There's no penalty for applying and being denied. But I just wanted to mention that because it is certainly a big factor in school funding. That is all I had.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Questions? No?
Nope.
Okay, appreciate the update. We do not have Dr. Taylor here tonight, so we're going to skip curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Then we'll move over into public minutes. We have the minutes from September 17th, 2025. Everyone had an opportunity to review?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the September 17th, 2025 minutes.
thank you. We have a
I'll
motion.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Additional discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
That carries 401. We also have the minutes from October 1st, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 1st, 2025 minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Ames, second by Mr. Shoemaker. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
Okay, that carries 302. I think I got that right. Thank you for that, and we'll turn it over into policies.
No new first reads for tonight.
All right.
It's budget season, yeah. Second reads, I did not receive any questions. I'm not sure if you did.
I don't know.
But there are 3 for review for the second read.
Any questions on the second read policies this evening?
No.
Is everyone okay with doing just a mass approval of them?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve policy BDF, policy BGD, policy E, and policy EG.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Ms. Ames. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? That carries 5-0. Thank you for that. All right, and back to the superintendent for GMS.
Yeah, just a brief update tonight. We had our community forum last week. We had about 20 people attend, which is okay for that first one. I think when we get more plans in place and more potential options of what we're looking at, we really want to hit hard to get more people out to kind of see those options and stuff. This was built around, the design statement to kind of introduce Harriman to the community. Along those lines, this weekend, as part of my message, and we'll put it out on social media, and if people want to also share it out, if they can, to social media accounts, we'll put the presentation Harriman has given us. That includes a lot of the information they've done at these different forums, so people can have that available for them. They're kind of gone through all of their learning about the buildings and the operations of the buildings and everything like that, so they're kind of in the design process of plans right now. Kind of putting the two options together, working through that. We'll follow up with them. We check in with them probably weekly at this point, between me and Julie. So we'll talk to them either tomorrow or Friday when they're available to get that update. Our construction management process closes Friday. Bids are supposed to be in by Friday, so we anticipate having someone in place actually early next week for that. And once we have them on board, we'll have that information for the board at the next meeting and stuff like that. We feel good about that process, so that we're going to have a good person in place for that.
Does the board have to approve the project manager or no?
I would like you to, so you know who we're working with.
I just
but,
wanted,
like,
that would
we'll-
push us out another week to make that.
Well, we'll do all the kind of tentative stuff and get it in place, right? So you do that, and I can send the information to you once we have it all finalized. So you're hopefully comfortable with it when we get to that meeting in 2 weeks. But in terms of the contract and making sure you're okay with all that you do have to kind of approve that for us. But like we've done through the Harriman process, where they've done some of the work for us pending the approval of the board and everything like that and stuff. So. In good faith that it's going to go through and everything. So, and then our next bi-weekly meeting is next week, right, the 23rd? Yep, when we're working with our kind of group that are working towards, that meets with them every 2 weeks and stuff like that. So we're kind of plugging along. I think, at some point, it's obviously through the budget process, we're going to have to make the call on whether we're comfortable to go in March or not. So we're probably a month out from that decision, right? Either we're moving forward to March or we're going to pump the brakes a little bit. I think me and Julie talk about it every day at this point. She asked me my thoughts today. I gave her an opinion. I'm going to hold it to myself right now. But because it changes almost daily on how I feel about it. Sometimes I'm really nervous. Sometimes I'm really confident. But I think we're approaching probably, before Thanksgiving, making that call, whether to keep going at the pace that we're going or we're not quite ready and we need to kind of pull off and stuff. So
To that point, I think that having participated in, I think, pretty much all of the meetings at this point, I feel really good about the team that we have in place guiding us. I really do feel confident that they will counsel us appropriately, that they're not looking to just push something through. But at the same time, they are doing incredibly efficient work.
Yep.
The background work that they have done with respect to reviewing all of the stuff that we have is impressive. I mean, they really have done they're very dialed in. And I think that their insistence that we start working with the construction manager early on is going to be very beneficial too. So.
I think there's like, I say this a little in jest, but I'm kind of serious too when I say this. I think in circles, like I know in my head, and I think in the architecture world, like if you can get this, if you can figure this out, like it's like a really prideful thing, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can be the group that figured out this GMS elementary school solution, whatever it is, right? Like a combination or a configuration, you get it, it passes and it's successful. Like I feel like you got something, right? Like you pulled it off. So I think people want to really do it correctly because they want that win.
And
right?
they are
That's a
really,
good point.
really listening to what's what's important to Litchfield and where
Yep.
we've been held up in the
Yeah.
past. So.
I mean, I know from, I'll call it from the FIC standpoint, right, is, we feel like it's moving very slow, just from the timeline that we have, just, and going from there. So if this is gonna be, I mean, at least I feel like the pace needs to be picked up as to what are we doing for the options?
Yeah.
What's the designs, what's going to happen? I also think that we need to know when the next community forum is. We need to get that out there. We need to blast it. I felt like there was some areas of where we could have done a little bit better for the first one. I mean, just one of the community citizens there mentioned that she drives Albuquerque Charles Bancroft every day, and it wasn't on the letterboard. She found out from a friend through a friend. So I know we're always going to battle that, but I would rather have the problem that 100 people showed up and we don't have seats versus having problems of there wasn't, like I didn't know about it. And I know that we're talking about how do we get to the 55 plus communities. Joe looked into, or Mr. Lassard looked into, the union leader needs 2 weeks notice if they're going to print something. So the sooner that we have that date for that next forum, I mean, we can get it into the union leader just to get it out there, and stuff like that. So
I was going to mention to that point. When we went last year, I went with Andrew to one of the 55 plus communities, and it was a really awesome experience. Like so many people came out. They had so many questions. They were so interested. It really comes down to it's just there's a major disconnect of our ability to reach them.
Yep.
And so if anyone, I don't know, I haven't been keeping up on how many people watch this, probably up to like 12. But if any of the 12 people watching this know someone in a 55 plus community, please mention to them that we really are looking to get them involved early, because I feel like one thing that would be very beneficial is for them to participate in the process and be able to share their insights and their thoughts and their concerns. So that way we can make sure it's reflected in what we deliver to the community. So
yeah,
we got to find some way, but it is very, very challenging. We've been trying, and it has been very hard to figure out.
Yeah.
I think the next two forums have to have a lot more meat to them than the first.
yeah. I mean, and so like I know the representatives from Harriman mentioned last night that they feel like the big A-frames and sandwich boards on key locations out there to advertise the community forums and stuff, it goes over really well in the past for them. I mean, Joe and I talked about, I think between the two of us, we have the lumber to go make them. So it would be like just if we can get, once we know the dates, we can put them out there, we can get people's permissions. We joked about putting it into the Halloween decorations of the Pink House, right out here, just to add it to that is a main throughway. Overall, I honestly think the community forum went over well. I mean, it was about 16-ish community members, including the citizen FICs, which is, 5 times from the deliberative sessions total, so that we had on 24. So I think it's good notion that we're trying to engage early and we're trying to bring people in, and go from there. But I think everyone's doing a great job. I mean, I'll go back to, I said it then, I'll say it now. It's a lot of work and a very tight timeline to try to do this.
Yep, we've all been saying that, right? So I definitely agree with the sentiment that whatever the next session is, it needs to meet, right? The community wants to see options. They want to understand costs. We need to start to get that type of information out in preparation for a March vote.
They do start every meeting with their timeline and showing like where they're at, what they've done, where they're at, and they have been very true to that timeline.
Yep.
So I do feel good about that. Like because I keep feeling the same way, but then when I look at it, they're like, okay, but this is.
Yeah, they have hit their benchmarks, but I'm hopeful that they're doing some of the other work, the structural stuff that needs to be done. I hope they're already working on that pricing.
I think they are,
You know.
like, because like based upon, again, some of those conversations are confidential in nature that they're having with me, and I don't want to overshare here, but it's not like they haven't started
Yeah.
designing,
I-
right? Like,
I hope
you
there's a
know,
lot going on
like
under
they've
the
asked
water.
me some questions that clearly lead me to believe that
Yeah.
like there are things in the works.
Well, and the other
there.
thing too
Yeah.
that you need to be aware of is that we see 2 or 3 of them, but when they talk about the design process, they're bringing a whole bunch of their team
Yeah.
for it. So it's
mean,
not
I-
just it's
Yeah.
not just 3 people that are working on this.
Professionally, for their timeline, they have to already be working on it.
Yeah,
That
they
they-
are
they-
like based upon like what they're telling me in their questions, because they, you know, some of them are very pointed. They're like, this little parcel of land, whose is this?
Yep.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like, and we provide the answer
But
to them and stuff like
The other
that.
thing that I think is really cool to see is that like they've come through. They last meeting they popped out plans of our schools that are like we had been using Dan's drawing, which was wonderful. Dan, you did a great job with that, which had all the classrooms and all that. They have gone through and looked at all the programming for all 3 schools already, like and have mapped it. So and they've come through and done like the Matterport scan or whatever the hell they did of all
Oh, the
schools.
360 pictures.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty like so that they can walk through like their teams can walk through our schools from their office to work on this stuff. So that's the stuff that I'm like, all right, these people know what they're doing.
So, a couple questions. On the proposal from Harriman, they had the 3 different options. One of them was about coordinating a website. Are we doing that? When's that gonna get off the ground? Because that's where I would post all of these presentations
Yeah.
and information and stuff like that.
That's a good question. I don't have an answer to that. We are doing it,
Yep.
but we have not
Yeah, we need
pressed
to
them on that. But we should. You're right. So I
Yeah.
can ask them.
I,
About that.
especially as they start generating these presentations and as they come to the FIC, right? Those things now become public and
Here.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
In here, right? And then we can even start dropping links to these recordings
Yeah, that's
and
good.
everything else.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that with them because I don't know where we are in that. So
Okay.
All right, anything else on GMS for the moment?
no.
All right, moving into manifest this evening. So we have the manifest, I think everything has
3
signatures.
signatures.
Thank you for that. We have a payroll manifest for $442,957.21. We have a 403B for $8,451.56. We have an accounts payable for $232,984.41. We have another accounts payable for $218,604.63, and a credit card manifest for $5,178.55. With that, we'll now open up our second community input of the evening. Nobody's rushing up, so we're going to close the second community input and move it over to school board comments.
From the FIC standpoint, there was a couple of action items for me to take the FIC. I had to miss the last meeting, but they did follow through with those action items. And they came up with a list of members who would be, ending this upcoming year in March, and then the following year after that for those members. So I can email out that list just so the board has it. I don't need to go through all the names today. And otherwise, the community forum, the FIC, we had a good representation. There was 3 members of the FIC there at the community forum, and we continue to have good FIC representation at the bi-weekly meetings with Harriman and Brian and Mr. Mitchell. So
But not a quorum.
not a quorum. Nope.
Okay.
That's it.
So I, after an emergency management meeting, had the pleasure of getting to go visit the kitchen at the high school with Lauren Crowley. And I just want to say, I was incredibly impressed. I had never been in there before. And they were in the process. What's that? Yeah, yes. Quite a difference. It's like going from a penitentiary kitchen to. It was an incredible operation. They were in the process of doing everything. It was like, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, everything was great. But I was mostly interested in finding out how the cafe was doing, because we talked about that as a possible means of trying to adjust the budget. Sounds like it's going awesome. I also purchased an iced coffee. I just wanna put out there. It was an amazing iced coffee. I actually texted her yesterday while we were at a
Shut
meeting.
up about it during LEA negotiations.
I was like, listen,
iced coffee.
can I buy an iced coffee right now?
Stop me walking the dog. I want the iced coffee.
He's like, do you think I can break in?
Listen, it's a special cougar blend. It's like, it's got like a little carrot. It's great. It's amazing. It was really, really good.
Flavor shots.
She has flavor shots too, but I didn't even need a flavor shot. It was so good.
I thought you just said they have shots in there too.
So Brian, that's the real reason why you were late to the FIC last night, is that Matt was talking about his iced coffee.
That is why she also had part of that meeting was baking pumpkin bread using excess pumpkin that she had from last year from smoothies that didn't go over well. The pumpkin bread was awesome, but anyways, the cafe seems like it's going really, really awesome. I'm really excited to see that happening. I want to see it continue to expand because I think it's really cool, and I just wanted to say great job with that because.
If I can piggyback on it, it's National School Lunch Week, so just a shout out to all of our workers and everyone in our kitchens who do a wonderful job for our students.
Every day they do. Absolutely.
So
Yeah, I'm seeing the post on Facebook about the lunches and the offerings, and it's
The
really
past
fun to
points that are
see.
going on at the elementary school, yeah.
Yeah. I wish some of those meals were at my cafeteria at work some days.
So just one thing I want to bring up, and I heard about this a couple months ago, there was some discussion apparently about naming the baseball field at Campbell after Jimmy Gorham, who was the long-term coach there, and I don't know if that stands anywhere, or,
It's funny you say that. So I got an email about it today. So like I just barely talked to Jen in passing about it today. And we were like digging out the policy to make sure that we follow it correctly and everything like that. And I don't know him and Jen doesn't either, but Karen in the front office raved about him,
Jim's was a great guy.
Yeah.
He, my son played baseball for him in in his time at Campbell, and did a lot for the program, obviously.
Yeah, so there's a process, the policy, right, that we have to
Yeah.
follow that has a process in it, that at some point has it coming to the board and stuff like that. So I don't know if we'll have that all for like the next board meeting, but it seems like we have some people very passionate about it, so I would expect that on a future agenda at some point, so.
I just received everything yesterday.
Yeah, I got the email this
The
morning,
letter,
so,
requesting, so we'll get on it.
Okay, I know it's budget season, but if we could get it on some.
we have baseball get it done by baseball season, right? That
Yeah.
was the logic in our head.
Makes sense.
So.
Opening
yeah.
day,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly, that's what we
Sounds
were
like you
thinking.
know something about it. I know nothing about this,
Yeah.
but it's great to hear.
Okay.
All right. Anything
Thank you.
else for school board comments?
Nope.
All right, excellent. The board does have business tonight in non-public session under RSA 91A3, specifically C. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Shoemaker.
Second.
Second by Mr. Plansky. We'll do a roll call vote for this. Mr. Plansky?
Aye.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Aye.
I am an aye. Ms. Ames?
Aye.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
That carries 5-0. We are now in non-public. Thank you very much, everyone. Our next board meeting is November 5th. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dominic, you did a great job.
Yeah.
Really good.
Good night, thank you.
So,
I was so wrong about how long this meeting would go.
I know. Well, I
About
brought
what?
out Holly and the troops here just in case.